Show me the money. Shoe money, that is. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 193rd episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Shafer, the Sales Whisperer, your host, and you are in for a treat as always. But if you missed last week, check out session 192 with Justin Welsh. Justin has a unique background. He talks about how he had a crappy 6-year sales career where he was hiding in a big company, and he joined a smaller company and helped them grow to $1.8 billion. And he left that company to start another, or to work with another startup, another small company. That's where his passion is, and he is helping that one grow as well. We got into some sales tips. We got into some unique ways to interview and screen salespeople that you will definitely love. I've gotten great feedback on that. So if you have not listened to that, head on over to thesaleswhisperer.com/session 192. Next week, we have how do I describe Ben Settle? Irreverent is the nicest thing I could probably say. Very successful entrepreneur, a copywriter. He's kind of low-key. You may not have heard from him before if you're not into copywriting, but you need to be into copywriting because when you send emails, when you create presentations, when you create blog posts, when you do almost anything with a written word, it's copywriting when you're doing it for business. And Ben, although he's relatively young, is a master. He talks about names, people I've never heard. I heard him on other podcasts, and I am taking notes, buying books of the people he has referenced. He is a student of the written word, using it for persuasion, to grow your sales, to expand your reach, to expand your presence. So you will want to mark your calendars for the Ben Settle interview coming up in session 194. Today, we have Jeremy Shoemaker, Shoemoney. He's hanging out in Nebraska, not on the left or east coast, living some wild and crazy life. But he is a very successful entrepreneur, extremely successful. You'll hear the numbers during this interview. He followed his itch. He's a self-professed geek. He made the things he wanted to make and then offered it to the world and made money. How you like that? That's why they call him Shoemoney. If you are looking to make money, check out my newly released Make Every Sale course, makeeverysale.com. I have a very elaborate sales page there that tells my story, tells you what you get in this course. I sat down with a professional team in mid-April and for 10 hours straight recorded content for this course. And it's the compilation of 21 years of sales. And I had all this content in other areas, but I finally brought it all together. There's handouts, there's resources, there's scripts, there's planning guides, everything you need to help you make every sale. I get into securing testimonials and referrals. And the real benefit is really twofold. One, you get lifetime access right now. I will probably change that in the future. That's a ways off. But for now, if you join, you'll be grandfathered in, have lifetime access. As I add new modules, you will get them. But you also get access to our private Facebook group, which right now is still small. And that means you get a lot more real-time interaction with me to answer your questions, to help you with really anything related to sales and marketing. So again, check out makeeverysale.com. You can see what it's all about. You can click the button and buy and be learning within the next couple of minutes if you paused this episode and went and did that right now. But if you're not and you're ready for Jeremy, let's start the show. Jeremy Shoemaker, the man, the myth, the legend. Hey, yeah, it's my show. I can say it the way I want it. All the way from Lincoln, Nebraska. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How are you?
I'm good, Wes. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. So I had to hit record because you were just spewing off too much goodness, man. We had to capture it. Okay.
I do that.
So for the 7 people out there that may not know who you are, would you mind taking a minute or two, give us a whirlwind thumbnail sketch of you and your world, and then we're going to dive down the rabbit hole?
No worries at all. So Yeah, I mean, I guess probably start just where I started in this world was I came in basically just built a very popular mobile website that I made for fun, and never made any money from it. And I got canned, and this would have been 2003-ish. And I had started my blog as Shoemoney, and but it was just like, hey, I met Paris Hilton. Hey, this happened, and got canned from work because I was just working on this website all day. And then one day Google calls me and says, you got this site, it's getting a lot of traffic. Let me walk you through installing Google AdSense, and we'll pay you money. And I was like, okay. And then a couple months later, the famous check, $137,000 in a month, and then from there, I just kept chasing the money, and then just started building my own companies, and just learned a lot along the way, and shared it on Shoemoney.com, and built a good blog following, which gave me an excellent stage when I launched new companies. And so to date, I've sold 6 companies, 2 for over 8 figures, and now I was talking to you, and I kind of want to just retire and do some podcasting and video casting stuff.
Very cool. I just learned a couple of things right there. Fantastic. So walk us back from the beginning, because I like to kind of go through and find those pivotal moments. You made a mobile website. You were just kind of teaching yourself this?
Yeah. So the one thing you'll find
2002, is that what you said?
Yeah, 2002, 2003-ish.
Was mobile even a thing? I mean, it kind of was, but kind of wasn't, huh?
And that's why the opportunity was there, was because, and this is the one thing that my most successful things I've ever done have been, and looking back, have always been about this thing, is that I've always saw something that I wanted for myself, made it available to other people, and then charged other people for it. So the goal at the beginning, and I do this all the time. I can show you 10 things that I built in the last 6 months that I made it for myself, and if anyone wants to use it, you can. But that's, okay, so keeping on point, because I'll digress. I'm really bad at that. Basically, so the site, I called it Next Pimp, which was like pimp out your next cell phone. But it didn't, be careful what domain you pick, because it might take off. But that was fine. So it basically, the way it worked was, I started one day like looking at my Nextel cell phone, which, had a little screen on it. And, the ringtones were all the stock ones. And I thought, what would be really cool is if I could put a image of my girlfriend and my dog on my phone. And so I researched forever how to do it. And I found this forum, I believe it's called Howard Forums, or it was back then, very popular mobile phone forum. And so I started following the Nextel, and there was just developers, and they were like, yeah, you can do it, but there's this patent on GIF. And this was back when IBM had the patent on GIF formats. So there was no real good tools to make image anyway. And it had to be this exact thing, to where it was like this exact color scheme, this exact other stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And so then I basically found the tools to do this, and just researched online. I went to Barnes and Nobles and got a book on PHP and MySQL, and I was already really good with Linux servers. But and then I made it for myself, and then, before I got with the server part, I posted a guide on Howard Forums on how to do it with Photoshop, and then using these tools to format it, and then getting a cable to load it to your phone. And it was even more trickier than that. So I wrote a complete guide on Howard Forums on how to do it. And then I got all these questions, everyone was like, yeah, but how do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? And I was like, man, if I could just make a site, people could upload an image and it would spit them back down the right one. So that's how it started. And then I allowed people to pick a category that these belong in and save them on the site, which now would be called tagging or whatever. And so then I had this giant database of images. Okay, well then ringtones started coming out, and it was they have evolved from MIDI files to to little wave files. So I did the same thing in that, and there was no over the air stuff, so you couldn't just do it. You had to load everything from a data cable. And so, and that's exactly the same thing I did, just long story short. And feel free if you want any more details on any of this. I'm trying to, because it's a very long story.
Well, it's awesome though. I mean, because there's some nuggets in there. I mean, you weren't like a carpenter by day and started doing technology. I mean, you were in technology. You knew Linux. I mean, you were comfortable. Yeah, you had to learn another language, but I mean, it was like a carpenter, right, that builds cabinets, and then somebody says, hey, can you build a table? It's like, well, I haven't really built a table, but yeah, I have all the tools, so let me buy a book and I'll learn how to do tables. I mean, is that kind of accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been like a geek, and I've always, been, on that, like, kind of seeing angles that other people don't see.
Right.
And, and I think that was probably more of a key than being any sort of technical person, was just, really just, I mean, there's code out there I was using code from 10 years ago. I mean, I didn't invent, 14 years ago, I didn't invent like 99% of the code on there wasn't written by me. I just Googled how to do this and, copied that, pasted it, changed a little bit here. Oh, that did that, and that's how I learned programming. And I bought some books, but, they gave me a little background, but the most I learned was basically just copying and pasting code that other people had and being like, okay, oh, that's what this does, and a lot of trial and error and just like that. And that's the thing, like now it would be so much easier now for me to do it because there's so much more code available for free. And I mean, these guys that make these WordPress plugins for free I look at that and see the amount of code in there and I'm like, what? I can't. I mean, like, there's such amazing code written by these guys that I've ripped out, just certain parts of a plugin, and I'm like, my gosh, this is amazing. And so, yeah, I'm always stunned at how well it does. So
yeah, but I think you said in the beginning, you weren't really doing this to necessarily make money. You wanted it for yourself.
For sure.
That curiosity. That desire is what fueled you, right? And then it ended up it's what caused you to get fired too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been an efficient person who tried to, I guess you would call it, work smarter, not harder. But
right.
Basically, that's a great word for I'm just super lazy. Okay, so basically, because I'm the laziest person you'll ever meet, but I'm the most obsessive person you'll ever meet. So it's odd that those two can exist in one entity. But, for me, like I had this day job where it was a grind and I had to go through a stack where it was 3 inches, and highlight where, that was part of my security audit stuff. And so like, that was like 5 hours worth of work every morning. Well, I wrote a script that would go through and tell me which pages were wrong. And then I would just highlight them, and I was in 5 minutes I was done. And so the rest of the time
you didn't tell them you were done in 5 minutes, did you?
No. So the rest of the time I would just I would go back to working on the site, or I'd post in forums or whatever. And I was working for Wells Fargo, and so they obviously monitor internet stuff. So I would tunnel through. It's a proxy tunneling, but anyway, so they would get pissed, my colleagues, because one, my reports were 100% accurate and I never had to double check them. And, two, they would see me, surfing the web and all this other stuff. And so, eventually I got written up and, eventually canned. And so I was, I've been fired from every job I've ever had. And, I'm not a 9-to-5 person. I just hate it. So,
all right. So you get fired.
Yep.
But you have your site, right? You have nextpimp.com. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
is
that the 137,000 check, or was it something else you created?
Nope, that was that. And like I said, though, I was on unemployment, and then I rolled into the bank with that check and an unemployment check.
Okay, so let's dive in a little bit into that.
Right.
So it's still just doing GIFs, basically, right? You're doing images for cell phones. But I take it you're getting a lot of traffic from the forums and just other places you were sharing this guide?
This was, and this is also something you'll find out about me and my SEO strategy, which we can talk about at some point, is that it just started getting all this links, and it was on, because basically people could upload any MP3 of any audio, and it would spit them back out the correct format for their Nextel phone, which eventually, by the time Google called me, it worked for every phone available. Okay. So now you had wallpapers and other stuff for every phone. So it would be on like Dig all the time. It would be on Reddit wasn't that big a deal, but it was always it was pinned on these forums, because now there was no more questions about how to do this. It was, you go to the site. I mean, you could go back, just Google NextPimp stuff from, set the time for that period, and you'll see the backlinks were ridiculous. And so it was all
did you do that
SEO.
On purpose, or was it a little bit of an accident, or were you already knowledgeable about SEO?
No, so again, if you look back, there's actually questions of me in forums that if you go, I think it was SEOguy.com was the leading SEO forum. I don't even know if that exists, but I know I've got screenshots of me in 2003 before I made the AdSense check of hey, I'm trying to rank for Nextel ringtones. How does SEO work? And the thing I found and is that, and this is my entire SEO strategy has always been, is that SEO is a house of cards and it's bullshit, and build something of value that people want to link to, and everything will take care of itself. And that's always been my SEO strategy. Everyone's like, oh, you got to do content, link building. No, you just have to build something that other people find value in and naturally want to link to. That's it. That's all you have to do.
I know. Amen. And you see things, people are freaking out with Panda and Penguin and blah, 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 and mobile and all these authority, rank, all these different things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm in the world, so I hear about it a good bit, but it's I've never once gone and it's almost like Y2K, right? I'm going to wait and watch my site because this Panda's coming out, and I hope my site doesn't just disappear. I'm like, yawn, whatever. I'm not gaming the system, so I don't worry about it.
Exactly. And that's, it's interesting you bring that up because, and I mean, we can definitely talk about AdSense and how it just exploded me into the realm of making money on the internet. But staying on that, what did you just say? What was the last?
Quit typing on Facebook, all right? You got to listen to me. You know what?
I did this thing yesterday. I uploaded this video I did I did it on last Thursday. I uploaded my first, I totally did my first video cast last week, and I completely couldn't have done it worse. And I uploaded it to my personal PayPal and not my channel that has 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, no.
So it had 3 views, and I'm like, what the hell? And so anyway, so then that girl who I did it with is messaging me hey, where'd the podcast go? And I'm like, oh yeah, I had to delete it from there and put it on my other channel. So anyway,
so we're talking about linking and just add value. So the system.
Yeah. So there's this prospectus on this site, and I was looking at buying it because I've been driving a shitload of web hosting leads. And so there was a site that was doing about 1,000 web hosting leads a month. Well, maybe 900. And was making over $100,000 a month on just a how to build a blog, and it ranked for these SEO terms. And the guy wanted 2.5 million, which is a solid multiple, right? I mean, because that's what, a 2x EBITDA, which is ridiculous. So I have the prospectus from it. I can send it to you if you want. And I talked to the guy on the phone, and I said, dude, this is a real, obviously, seems like a no-brainer to anyone who knows basic business. However, 99% of your traffic is all SEO. And from all I know, you've only been doing this 6 months. Well, I know, you got super sketchy backlinks. So unless you're willing to put some guarantees in there, which I'm sure you're not, I can't do anything. And I said, I hope you find a buyer for it, but I think anyone would be extremely ignorant to pay that much money up front for something that's a complete house of cards.
Right.
So,
and when was this? Recently?
2 years ago, I want to say, a year and a half ago. I got the prospectus a little late, and I got a newer one somewhere, but the only one I can find is from like 2 years ago. But yeah, it's just, I've had the opportunity to buy a couple sites that I really wanted to, but you have this talk with people about, and I never am like, hey, this is what it's worth. It's just, this is what it's worth to me, and I can explain why, but that's, it's always interesting to have those conversations, because I know with NextPimp, I wanted to make $1 million on the internet. So I offered, I was making like $250,000 a month, and I was like, yeah, I'll sell this to you for $1 million. Just I was so insecure. Right. I was so insecure that any day Google is going to bang down my door and be like, yeah, this wasn't what we thought it was. We want our money back. And when I took the picture with that AdSense check, the purpose behind it was, I'm like, okay, when they come back for this check or whatever, I'm going to totally use this as a cover for my book on how to make money with Google AdSense when all this crashes and burns. And so it was actually really interesting timing, because the next month they never sent out checks for over $10,000. So there's nobody who has a check from Google, for any decent amount of money. And so
what do they do? They just wire it now, or what?
Yeah, they only wire it. That's and funny. So, yeah, also, a lot of people don't know this. I never showed that check on the internet till 2007, even though it was issued in 2005.
Oh, that's cool. It's all right.
Yeah, a lot of people think like the blog made it because of that check, when actually it was like the blog took off because I was sharing everything I was learning on how to make money with NextPimp. So It was very interesting.
So has everything changed, or are things basically the same, insofar as put out good content, you can still drive traffic, you can still get paid for traffic? How have things changed, and how are they the same from 2003 or 05 or even 07?
Yeah, it's interesting the wording you use, because my book is called, Nothing's Changed But My Change, available at Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. There, just quick little plug. So,
and we will link to it from the show as well.
Well, if you want. So it's already an international bestseller, so whichever, it's kind of cool. But yeah. And for those who don't know me, yeah, that's a joke. I always come off as an egotistical jackass. So all you have to do is read the reviews on Amazon. So basically, it is. I have the same. I've actually come to learn my philosophies. I never went to I went to college for 8 years, but I have 13 credit hours. Okay, so I don't have an MBA. I don't have, any structure to running business. And I didn't even know what I was doing and why it was working until years later of okay, wow, this, the whole, what I told you is everything I've done. I could riddle off a bazillion sites, or companies I've sold, and everyone that was very successful followed the same plan. And then also a lot of them, when they weren't quite working, were just slight pivots. Like you said, if you can build a table, you can do this. But I call it a Coke theory, which is if you can make Coke, you can make Diet Coke. But if someone else wants to make Coke or Diet Coke, their cost of entering the marketplace is huge.
Right. Well, what could our listeners, though, take away from this? Things were an accident, right? But
for sure.
But it was right place, right time. You were following your passion, and fortunately, your passion was right in the way of progress, right? This freight train of technology and search and online and mobile was just, nobody could stop it, right? So you were definitely right place, right time, but you have continued to build successes. So, obviously you've learned from your mistakes. You've learned from your successes. So what can you share with people? What could they do to maybe minimize some of their risk and be a little bit luckier in growing their businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of depends on where they're at. But because I've had people come up to me and like, hey, I've got this idea. I want to do this, this, and this. And I just am like, I can't help you too much with an idea, but, why don't you try it and do this? But I mean, the big thing is there's this huge opportunity. Can you hear my dog barking, by the way?
Yeah, that's fine. Mine barks half the time.
All right. I'm sorry. I've got my nanny here, and I don't know what the hell she's doing because I told her to keep shit. Whatever. So,
well, she's probably out riding in your Corvette.
Nope, that's never going to happen. Yeah, that thing's at the dealership anyway. I'm getting black wheels put on it, and I'm super excited about that. So I'm actually having several things done to it today. So anyway, I'm going to kill this dog. All right, so basically like tips for people, right? So
well, speaking of dogs, though, I took my dog to the vet. He's big, like 110 pounds. And the vet picks him up. He looks at him. He examines him. He looks at me and he says, "I'm going to have to put your dog down." I'm like, "Dude, why? He's totally fine. I mean, it's just an exam." He says, "Well, he's heavy. I have to put him down." But anyway.
Wow, that's rough. All right, so
he just had to set him down. All right, never mind.
I don't know, dude. I'm like half baked today. So, and not from the devil's lettuce. I mean, anyway. So my dog is really pissing me off right now. I think that's not under control. So, okay, tips for new people. So people will come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to build do you think there's money in this industry?" And I said, I don't know, but I know how you can find out. And, you can build a site on WordPress.org or, it's like $5.95 a month to get web hosting or, and just go through all these tutorials and put up your site and start, if you're passionate about the subject, start giving people value. And this is just for someone who wants to get started, right? And so, most of the time I'll see these people at another conference and they'll say, hey, hey, do you remember me on the birdcage guy? And I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, how'd that do?" "Oh, I never did anything." "Yeah. But you think there's something there?" And I'm like, that pisses me off. Like,
yep.
That really pisses me off. And then you'll run into that same guy who has bought Frank Kern's list control product, which is an incredible good product if you have an email list. Or he's bought Jeff Walker's product launch formula. And these are things that go way back many years. Or, these other...
They're still out there today, though.
Yeah, I mean, they still... I mean, a lot of list control, mass control is just incredible stuff. And Frank I know very well, and he's given me permission to distribute a lot of it in our other project that we have going on. And... so I meet these guys. They paid $2,000 to $7,000 for these other products. They don't even have a website. They don't even have an email marketing list. And it's very frustrating. And I think the other thing is a lot of people chase after something because there's this way to get rich quick on something. And everyone says and knows that it's. I mean, it's better to play the lottery. And all the time people are like, "How can I make money fast?" And I say, "Go rob a bank."
Yep.
Like that. If you want to make, $20,000 today, that's your best chance is to go rob a bank. I mean, yeah, you could try the lotto, but I mean, robbing the bank's for sure. So,
oh, man.
Well,
you're one of those guys. I have to end the interview all the time. I think I'm interviewing an expert, and you don't have a better idea than rob a bank fast. Okay, man, we got to go. We got to go.
Well, if you want to make $20,000 today, and if you know how to do that, I'm open.
Oh,
to
no, I thought you did, man. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it today because I can call someone and say, "Hey, I'll give you your consulting for $20,000 today. You pay me today," and they'll wire me $20,000 in a minute because I charge them like $15,000 a month, right? So, I mean, yeah. So this is the thing I was trying to tell people, not that last part, but I'm like, I've never known anyone who's made any money that set out to make money. on the internet. Like, I mean, I do know at least a dozen guys I can give you right off the top of my head who started on a free platform on WordPress. You know, actually, I can the I Can SG's blog, Fail blog, Paris Hilton, UFC Junkie, all freaking TechCrunch. Again and again, those things have sold for and like I'll use the MMA Junkie one for an example. That was mmjunkie.wordpress.org or com or whatever their free ones are. That one sold for $12 million to USA Today. I mean, you know, TechCrunch sold for what, 20 some. Ariana Huffington sold for like 40 some million. I mean, like you go on and on and on. All these started for free, and many of them within 2 years sold for a lot of money. And, you know, and so that's what I tell people. I'm like, you know, if you're really passionate about something and you feel like you have value to offer the world, then do this. If you want to sell a product online, you know, the thing is, I will tell people, and my whole, one of my big mantras is, I'm not going to tell you what to do unless I have a lot of experience doing that. So, you know, because I'll share with you my experience, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. And, you know, take with that what you will. And I just don't like to ever give advice unless I've actually done something, or I'll point people to people that I know have done that. So, you know, for instance, you know, like if someone's selling products online, I've done that, you know, and I've done that in a couple different verticals, and, you know, and yeah, it's been years and years ago, but I can tell them what I did. And it's amazing, like how true those still are today. I mean, if you look at build something of value and people will naturally link to it. I mean, tell me that doesn't work, you know? I mean, you know, the whole like build something that you see out there is needed. Like I build an advertising network because I was pissed off that my affiliate ads weren't getting the clicks that my AdSense ads were. So I build a network basically that I could put my own ads, but looked identical to AdSense, and then I let other people use it. And then one night I'm playing poker and totally shit-faced at Binion's and at like 5 a.m, and sitting next to me is a guy from eBay, and he says, you know, you guys with your Shoemoney ads thing, you have a lot of people using it for eBay, and maybe you should just build one around eBay. And so long story short, I made that auction ads and then sold the company 4 months after I started it. We were up to about $4 million a month in revenue when I sold it. So, you know, I mean, like it goes on and on. I had a company called Free SEO Report, which started, you know, and then it was for me because it was something I wanted, and it was really cool because it gave you this super badass report on stuff, and I gave it away for free. And then an SEO company bought it, and I mean, again, I've sold 6 companies. I could go through each one if you want, but they all follow the same mantra. And so I had a business a long time ago where I arbitraged items on eBay, and it is, if someone does want to make money tomorrow, that is very easy to do. And it is absolutely no risk. Okay, so you want that, I'll give you that. All you have to do is you go look at what you can buy items for, like go to Dell's website and on their like flash deals, okay? And then go to eBay and look and go to completed listings that have sold and see what the market is bearing for that item, okay? Calculating your shipping costs, which is exactly what the other people are doing. Buy the things from freaking Dell and list them on eBay as soon as they ship, okay? And if people buy them, great. If they don't, you simply return them. There you go. I've also got a tutorial on how to make money with iPhones. I have never not made money when a new iPhone has come out. And I have made thousands, and I don't do it for me to make money. I do it so that I have something to show people who come to me and say, hey, how do I make easy money?
Right.
This is a way. I mean, I pay college kids $50 a piece to wait in line, and then I roll in 15 minutes before the phone store opens, and I'm their, you know, quote unquote rich uncle, and they get all these new iPhones, and then basically I pay full out price for them, so it doesn't matter with their contract or their eligibility for a new thing. I'm just paying full out, you know, price, and you know, usually I'll make 40% margin on average. So, you know, you do that.
So this is like buying the new iPhone when it comes out?
Right. So you buy 10 grand, you buy 10 iPhones for that, you know, 10 grand. I've never made less. Sometimes I've made 70% margin. It just depends on, one thing I found is that you can use Google as a great tool on this to see like what color and model people are Googling for. So like you'll see people Google for, like iPhone 6S Plus black, 128 gigabyte. Right. So you want to kind of do some research on what people are actually like super interested in. And a lot of times they'll put like price or costs or stuff like that. So that's what people are going to want. Another huge tip if you're going to do the phone thing is to put unlocks, because a lot of people don't realize all iPhones come unlocked now. And it's amazing like how much more those will sell for. Okay. It's just... Yeah. I mean, people don't know. So the other thing with the iPhone thing specifically is that you want to, because they come out on Fridays, okay, put next day shipping as long as it's bought before X amount so that these people get it in their hands on Saturday. I've made the mistake of doing, the auction and then having it end and the people don't get it till Monday. You'll get 25% more if you do the Saturday shipping. And those are the ones where I've actually like sometimes doubled up my money. Right. And it just depends on how many other people you're going against. Anyway, so...
Yeah, but the whole thread here, though, is, like you said, you're a geek, right? This is in your wheelhouse. And sure, others can go do this, but they're probably not as passionate about it. They're not going to leverage it to teach someone else something else, to really bring them in on a larger package of a mastermind that you may teach or consulting. So it's only going to last for a short time.
What do you mean, arbitrage?
No. Just I don't want people to think, we're saying, hey, go out and do this. I'm wanting to tie a common thread here that this is technology. You do it. Sure, everybody every year could go do this, but it's once a year. But you have made money by following your passion, and I think that's
But I mean,
overlying theme, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but I mean, sometimes I've stretched into where I've seen opportunity. And so when I got big into, to where I would buy used computers and part them out and sell them. Now, yes, that was because I was a geek. However, I had one friend that was doing it with fondue fountains. Okay, he was buying them used, refurbishing them, and selling them overseas in particular, and making literally over $1 million a year in profit from fondue fountains. Okay. All it takes is a little bit of research. There's people out there that understand cars. I know a guy that flips cars constantly. He understands the market. He understands the value. And this is the thing. I know people that completely offline. If you understand arbitrage, most of internet stuff is arbitrage. It's just simply the profit from a market imbalance. I've bought and sold traffic from Google to Microsoft and vice versa and made money. Okay. I bought a motorcycle off of eBay and 7 months later sold it for $1,700 more than I paid for it. Right. And I wrote a guide about that and gave that away. Arbitrage exists all around us, whether you're a geek or it doesn't matter. It's a very simple concept. There's always a market imbalance. It's just like how Vegas makes money, letting people bet on both sides. It's because there's a spread. And it's the same way, and I don't care what it is. There's always an imbalance, and you being that middleman is very profitable and very risk-free, to be honest.
Well, and in the products, absolutely. I love your example with Dell, return the thing. But in our brains, right? In the court of law, a judge considers you a subject matter expert if you know more about a subject than the average person in the room. And so in that case, you are an information arbitrage individual, right? So, you can charge, like people listening to this, I want them to realize that the knowledge you have in your brain is valuable to somebody, right? I think too many of us underestimate the value of our experience and our knowledge and our wisdom and our trials and tribulations. And it's worth, people will pay you to shorten their learning curve, right? I mean, you've experienced to a large degree, right, Jeremy? I mean, people, they pay you to shorten that learning curve. Now, usually they come to you with the wrong questions, right? And they don't listen to you. But
right.
Those that do, you're able to charge a lot of money to show them something that to you is very simple and easy to do, right?
Yes, and I am able to charge them a lot of money, and I've never done a mastermind or a coaching program. It's just not for me. I know a lot of people can do really well with that. It's just not for me. I feel like a lot of those people take a big advantage of people.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. It's just my thought. Now, what I will do and what I have always done is if a company, I think I can help them, I will fly to where they're at for my expense. And I want to learn everything about them, what they're doing, and all this stuff. And then I will usually say, okay, let's do 2 weeks of calls and set up a weekly call. Because I want to make sure they have the time to do this as well. Because a lot of times you get involved in it. Because the thing I hate is getting a consulting contract. It's working and you don't talk to them for 3 months. Now, I have some clients that do that with me. But I've given them so much value in the past. I'll just give you one example. So there's a company that's about $1 billion company out of Las Vegas. I went in there and I made a 17% difference in their conversion in the first month. I have not talked to them since. They pay me, $12,000 a month. And that's been 2.5 years ago. And I literally haven't talked to them in over 2 years. Now, I mean, about that. I mean, I talked to them about, hey, do you want to go party when next time I'm in Vegas? And I've asked them, their CEO specifically, like, dude, why do you continue to pay me when you don't even pick up the phone when I ask you or when I email you about these things? Because I've got a lot of ideas to try. And he's like, we don't want you to work for our competitors. Oh. That's what he said. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But like I said, what I'll do, I just am doing this now with a very large company where I said, I don't like to do a big contract and have I'm very proud of my reputation and, what I will do. And also I have an investing tab also for those out there that are doing stuff. And I can talk about that if someone cares. I do a lot of investing and a lot of funding, but it's really different. Like if you've got a business plan, you're not for me because I want people that are working and not working on raising money.
Right.
So, but a lot of time you can't raise money when you're at that point. And so I get it. And so that's why I invest in these kinds of people. But anyway, so right now I'm working on a company consulting and I just follow the playbook. Like one, I want to meet them. I want to make sure that they can afford me and I want to make sure that I'm going to give them a positive ROI. And then I'll usually do a 3-month contract. Even if they wanted 1 year, I'll just do a 3-month contract with them for about half the price of what full price will be. And, and then at that point we'll decide whether or not it's worth it. And so I've never had a company that I've followed that with that didn't become a long-term thing. And a lot of them I talk to monthly. A lot of times, they just want feedback on something or the bigger ones. And this is when I encourage them to do this all the time. And I love it when they do is like, let's say they're looking for an SEO company. So they'll they not knowing anything about the industry, they will, just blindly buy something. Like they bring me in on that call. I'm going to ask some good questions, right? If they want to start an affiliate program, right? And they're going to go with Commission Junction, have me on that call. I'm going to save you a fortune. Okay. Like, any of these other things, either I've got a Rolodex of people to contact that are the best and I know because I've worked with them, or just let me sit in on this call. And I'll be the jerk off at your company. I'll be, Phil or whatever, who thinks he's an expert at everything, but I'll pin him down. I'll pin him down on stuff.
Right.
And so, so that's kind of the value that I bring. And sometimes, people think it's super pricey. I mean, my sweet spot is somewhere, between $8,000 and $15,000 a month. And for that, I'll do a once a week call, but again, like I'm not going to do it unless I got to just have a good rapport with the company and stuff. But all right, well, I've digressed into that a lot. And I think it's also why you were talking about people being an expert in something, and it's you very much undervalue what you know. And also like a lot of times, like I undervalue what I know a lot. And So I have someone else price me. And that's like for selling advertising on the podcast or selling. I mean, I just want to give it all away. And that's just me. And so I have someone else negotiate pricing. I don't ever deal with pricing. I am the worst. I will sell it for the lowest amount, or I'll just do it for free. And
is that because you don't like sales, or you just don't like the details of the paperwork, or are you just truly underestimate your own value?
No, because by the time I get on and have done a call with these people, an initial call, I've seen what they're doing. I'm already seeing like 10 things that I want to work on. And so I don't even wait for them to sign a contract. I'll just send them an email and say, okay, let's get started on this and this. And then I'll just help you for free. I mean, basically that's my problem is that it's my best and worst trade is
right.
that, and I'm sure like anyone out there could come into a lot of the things that I'm doing and instantly see how I could become more efficient as well.
Right.
But here's another thing I give this tip is the biggest tip I could give anyone is to go to a conference. Don't pay for the conference. If it's your first time out, there's always going to be local conferences or one within, there's Midwest or whatever, depending. Don't spend $2,500 for a ticket. Just sit in the bar and wait for the experts to come down and buy them a drink or whatever, and just say, "Hey, man, just find out who's going to be there. Do your homework, and then people that you want to learn more about a certain subject." Now, if you go there and you don't have any clue and you're going to ask where should I start, people aren't going to be able to help you pretty much. And anyone who says, "Yeah, I'll join my mastermind," not a good idea either.
Right.
But I see these people just so brainwashed.
Oh, I know. I see the same people at conference after conference. It's like I go to several. I'm asked to speak. So, okay, I'll get it for free. Maybe my lodging's covered. I know a lot of these people. So, okay. But I'll see the same people 5 conferences in a row. But they're buying their tickets. They're paying to attend these things. And I'm like, did you even apply what you learned, 4 months ago in the first conference? And it's kind of sad, really.
Yeah, for sure. You come across it. I come across it. And it's really sad because, if you talk to a Frank Kern or a lot of these guys who have sold a lot of $5,000 to $7,000 products, they'll talk to you about, and there's a great video with him sitting down with Anthony Robbins and, okay, make the dogs quiet. Sorry about that. So there's a great video with Kern and John Reese sitting down with Tony Robbins and talking about the consumption ratio of their products and how they sell this product for $5,000 and they'll see the same people buy products, and then they'll meet these people and they'll tell them, "Oh, I got list control. I bought, this, I bought this." And they'll say, "Oh, how's it going?" And they're saying, "Oh, I haven't gotten started yet, but blah." And he's like, people will go and blow $5,000, $7,000 on a product, but they won't risk spending $200 on Google AdWords. And it's funny. One of my friends, he's kind of my friend. I like him, but I don't really know him that well. And he's one of those guys that kind of makes my skin a little sketchy, like because he charges, the mastermind guru coaching plans,
right?
And he's like, "Dude, you need to just charge like $2,000 a month and get like 10 people on a call." And he's like, the crazy thing is he's like, they can Google for anything they're going to ask you, but because it comes from you, they actually think it's of huge value, and that's what they get when they pay for this. And I'm like, and you're cool with that? I'm like, they're like, you don't have to do any work.
Yeah. Well,
but that's true. But that's true. And you know what? If you're a consumer out there and that's what you need to actually do it, then maybe it is worth paying $2,000 a month. If you're going to take action on something, maybe
it's good and bad. And I see both sides of it. It's like getting a fitness trainer, right? Do you really need somebody to teach you how to do a push-up, or how to run for 20 minutes on the treadmill? But when you're paying somebody to hold you accountable, if that's what you need to hit your goal, then I'm okay with it, as long as you're producing the results.
Absolutely. That's a great analogy because I have to have a guy because,
yeah. So but I'm like you. I'm just now rolling out a new training program. It's the first really high-end one that I've created. and it's going to be in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range, but they're going to get me. They get 44 videos, they get all of my modules, all of my templates, but they get me as well. I mean, I'm online answering questions. As I sit here at my desk, I can be answering questions. So
for sure,
I'm going to help them get better at sales. And it's not just, here's a binder, good luck. And so I'm okay with that. But yeah, I'm like you, man. I've really been torn on, I want to always make sure they get value. And I don't want anybody ever saying, he ripped me off and just sold me an overpriced binder.
For sure. I mean, that's basically everything. I mean, you got to deliver people something of value, which you will. And then it's a matter of, them taking action with that. Yeah. And it's, to me, I mean, it's amazing when you meet people. There's no better feeling in the world when you go to a conference and you met people, and whether it's a post you wrote or they saw your Google AdSense check, or, they bought a product from you and it changed their life and now they're doing all this stuff. And then there's no better feeling than that. And I've been fortunate enough to where I've had a lot of really great things happen where, people that have done this who are now like Facebook experts, and I'm like hitting them up.
Right.
Like, hey, work with me on this. And they do. A lot of times they'll do it at their own expense because they feel like they owe me so much.
Right.
And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, it's really rewarding. I mean, so yeah, I've got like 20 people all of a sudden hitting me up on like Skype and crap. So,
well, man, I messed up and I scheduled another podcast interview right after you.
No, it's perfect because I got a call here in 5 minutes.
I should have allocated 20 hours for this, but man,
I go on forever.
I appreciate you coming on. I want to make sure we get the links out. So on Twitter, you're at Shoemoney, right?
Yep.
And your main website is shoemoney.com, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And so, and we'll have links to this. I pulled up your book as well. We'll link to that. Nothing's changed but my change, the Shoemoney story. So, man, I just appreciate you sharing your story, rambling with us, going off on tangents, talking to the dog. It's all been good.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll send you a link for the ebook for free for my book. Because it's really, I've had a very crazy story, and I've had a lot of people tell me like, just how inspirational it was, whether they're parents of kids and all this. Because I've had a very nutty life, and so I've had good response. So I can just send you the ebook, and it's just a PDF of it. So if people want that, they can get it. All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, Wes.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man. All right.
Bye-bye. How about them apples, huh? SEO is a house of cards. You want to make money fast? Go rob a bank. That is so true. There's so many people looking for the shortcut, for the easy button, and they always will. I get it. I think the internet and social media makes it easier to distract you. It's easier to insert targeted ads to distract you, to make you think, oh, all you have to do is webinars. All you have to do is podcasts. All you have to do is make YouTube videos. All you have to do is learn copywriting, and you too can make $1 million. And I don't know, maybe you can, maybe you can't. I think ultimately you need to follow Jeremy's path, right? Scratch an itch. Hopefully it's your own itch. Hopefully you're good at something, and that thing that you're good at, you become very good at, and you get the word out, and it makes you a lot of money. But, I was listening to Mike Rowe recently, the guy from Dirty Jobs, and he was on the Tim Ferriss podcast. And I love what he said in that, don't follow your passion, bring your passion with you. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. We always hear, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, you know what? I love drinking whiskey and playing golf. And yeah, I'm sure there are people, obviously there are professional golfers and golf pros that make money playing golf. And there are people that do whiskey tours and write books and whatever on that and make money. But, let's get real. I'm 46 years old, got a wife, got 7 kids, big dog, likes to eat. Am I just going to shift gears and follow my passion to provide for my family? Or am I going to bring my passion to what I'm doing? Now, fortunately, I am passionate about being in sales. I'm passionate about training. You're going to hear an episode coming up in a couple of weeks. I did it with Steven Sisler, and he broke me down like a rifle. He does behavioral assessments, and so I got to interview him for a bit, and then I took his assessment before the interview, and he just broke down all of my numbers. What does it mean? And, one of the things that came out that was very obvious, and I feel good about it, he said, hey, basically you're a teacher. You're born to teach. You're born to instruct. And he confirmed what I've always said, what I've always known, is that I have a knack for taking complex ideas and making them simple, making them understandable. So fortunately, I'm able to make money following one of my passions, right? I get to learn and I get to teach. But you know what? I have to sell also, because people aren't just lining up because I exist, right? I have to get the word out. I have to let them know I'm here. I have to give them examples so they line up to give me money. But you need to understand, you got to pay your dues. You got to learn. You have to be good at something. You have to bring that value, and then people will pay you for that value. And I just love what Jeremy covered. I didn't know really 100% what we were going to get into. I'd never spoken with Jeremy before this. We're Facebook friends because we have a lot of friends in common. We run a lot of the same circles, but I've never met him. He is a little bit bombastic online, but, now that I get to speak with him, I mean, he's as sincere and unique as they come. He has fun. He's larger than life, and what you see is what you get. But he lives in Nebraska, raises his family because that's where he wants to be and that's what he wants to do. So, he's just a cool dude. So I love learning more about him, seeing his resources, getting his take on things. And he gave some examples in here of what you can do right now if you need to go make a little extra money. So go back and listen to that if you have not, and that is where you find yourself. Otherwise, stay the course, right? Find the little niches, find opportunities where you can, quote, pivot. That's the key word, I think, nowadays, the buzzword pivot. But, pivoting is basically, McDonald's saw that people like chicken, so now they sell chicken McNuggets. And now they sell more chicken than Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that's a pivot, right? They didn't get out of the hamburger business. They just added chicken, and they added salads, and then they added good coffee. And I think their coffee's pretty good. But, hey, I'm just not a big Starbucks fan. But, hey, I do think McDonald's. There's McDonald's by my house, actually, I go to sometimes. It's very well air-conditioned, free Wi-Fi. It's been remodeled. Leather couches, and affordable, decent, actually pretty good coffee. So there, take that. So Jeremy has a lot of good ideas. Like I said, keep listening. If you missed last week's episode with Justin Welsh, go back and listen to that. He had some great tips on how to screen candidates for sales and bring them on and help them become productive quickly. And then next week we're in for Ben Settle. I'm telling you, you want to listen. And he has a podcast as well. And I will continue to urge you to check out MakeEverySale.com. You just thought this was good stuff in this podcast. You're going to start getting access to me all the time to answer your questions, to help you sell better. It's what I do. And I don't travel a lot. I am online. I got a big iPhone 6 Plus, so I can answer your questions most any time, as long as you're not a needy, greedy jerk. But if you're listening to this and you enroll in the MakeEverySale.com course, I know that is not you. Thanks for listening. Please be sure to share this. And always remember to sell different.